at Media Trust Group, we're celebrating women's gargantuan efforts towards making the world a better and safer place to live in for all.
We acknowledge and appreciate the fact that women are excellent,
resilient, courageous,
elegant,
creative,
passionate, dedicated,
and extraordinary multitaskers.
As a media group, we remain strongly committed to gender inclusion and diversity. And we do this because
this is
the right thing to do.
So please, join us in honoring and celebrating all the amazing women across the world on this International Women's Day.
From all of us at Daily Trust,
Trust TV, Armenia, and all other Media Trust brands,
we say Happy Women's Day!
All right, thank you for staying with us on Daybreak this morning. Staying with the same subject of International Women's Day, we have entrepreneur, people and culture manager at Lofting. She's Mrs. Cynthia Mbakogu Uzomba, who will be talking to us more on this. Thank you so much for joining us on Daybreak today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about how today makes you feel. You know, a lot of men will say, well, women celebrate Women's Day almost 50 times in a year, and it's almost as if the world is around women. You know, women say women run the world and all that. How true is that really, anyways?
Well, so, I mean, the role of women in the society cannot be overemphasized. I know a lot of people are they think we over celebrate ourselves, but first of all, how I feel absolutely great. I like that this is becoming a trend. I like that is something that we're having conversations that can enlighten people, that can enlighten the society, to help us understand and see the world from the female view, from the female perspective, because there's this popular saying also that is a man's world, right? But it's not only men that live in the world. We have other genders that live in the world. We have women as well as another gender that lives in the world, and of course you cannot talk about just one gender and then ignore completely the other gender, right? Because we are naturally, we are maternal, we are the ones that incubate, we are the ones that care, we are the ones that give to the society. We are really part of the people that focus so much on brooding or on building, on society building. A lot of people have their mothers as their first doctors, their first teachers. You know, the society is really built by women, and so it's important that the society is built to support and encourage women, and, you know, have conversations around how we can make the society better by including the other gender.
Okay, so let me pick your thoughts on this. They say it's a man's world, like you said, right? But women say women rule the world. How true is that, if you add this together?
It's a man's world, but women rule the world. I think I've already talked about how women rule the world. If as growing up as a child, if your first point of contact is, and the first formative years, you spend a lot of your formative years with women, and so the ideologies, the upbringing, you know, all of that is passed down from women, and it's not about say a title or a physical position. Most times it's about influence, and so when rulership is majorly about influence, and you know, and I mean formative years where everybody is basically influenced by women in their formative years, and so that's how we are able to rule, right? Because we are supposed to be in that position of influence, but of course there are certain things that keep us that keep women bound, that don't allow us to really express ourselves and, you know, go further into really expressing our full potential. So
Okay.
All right, Cynthia, and I think I can also add to that because it's International Women's Day and I'm a woman. I think the women had to start seeing women rule the world just so the men can see the many things that women can do. Not necessarily rule in the world rule, but for the men to begin to also look and say, okay, these women are bringing something to the table after all. You know? So there's this thing, and this I hear women supporting women thing. But then all the time when women lose at elections and everywhere, we hear the men saying, it's because even the women don't even support women. How do they expect to go? So do you agree that women do not support women? And to what extent is this new movement, as it were, women supporting women, to what extent is that helping?
So it's part of the sensitization. Now, I agree, maybe in times past, because of the way we are socialized, we feel that even the women do not believe that they have something to offer, right? Because of socialization, you hear things like women should only be seen and not heard, and then you see in the political space a woman is contesting for a political position, and you may find some women not supporting her, but I think is as a result of not being well informed, right, of not being well sensitized, is a result of our socialization. But like I said earlier, when you said how do I feel, I like that we're having these conversations and we're bringing it to light so that it's obvious what we bring to the table. And now I see a lot of women actually supporting women, because I know we had a presidential candidate as a woman. Yes, of course, it's not even the men, not everybody supports, it's not every man that supports every man. So support is relative, right? But I'm seeing intentional efforts being made now by women. Whenever they say that there's a woman being supported, there's a woman contesting for an electoral position or for a sphere of influence.
Even at the primaries level, right? A woman is running for a position. We already know how, the two first discussants have talked about the lack of adequate resources for the woman. So the men, because of the resources available to them, are also able to get the women in the party to get on their side. So why is it that the women in the party will not understand that the woman standing for that position does not have enough resources and just go with her? I mean, if they agree with what she stands for.
Well, so it's socialization. I'll still take it back to socialization, right? Because we need to start changing our mindsets and start renewing our minds to be able to support, regardless of resources. Yes, I understand how money is a tool, financial resources is a tool, but human resources is also a tool, right? And so we as women need to encourage and support more women, and especially when we're seeing that we're not the only ones. Like you said, men are backing up these women and getting them on the table. So it's our duty, and that's one of the reasons why we celebrate this day. It's not only to enlighten the men, but also to enlighten the women, so that we can understand the importance of female representation in places of influence. So it's really important that people are sensitized, that people are enlightened to, you know, especially the women folks, and down to the grassroots, because you and I may have that understanding, but what are we doing to sensitize the women in the rural areas that have been socialized to think that she's a woman, she's not supposed to be there, why is she's supposed to be at home taking care of her children, right? So that's what happens. It's a mindset thing, okay, right? It's a mindset thing.
Okay, we've had arguments about how people argue about is it about gender equality or is it about gender balancing? Which should we be going for? Because people make the case and the argument that if you talk about gender equality, it's more like you saying men being equal, women being equal with men, when already, even physically, men and women are not the same, and there is a clear role for men and for women and the rest of them. Where do we draw the line? How do we draw that distinction?
So when we say gender equality and gender inclusion, of course everybody has their roles to play, but it doesn't mean that my role is less important than your role, right? We're not saying it's not a competition, right? It's a matter of we should be given access. Not for some time ago, women were not allowed to drive cars. Some time ago, women were not allowed to vote. Even in some countries, I know that people still frown at women participating in politics, right? It's just giving me access to a better life as a woman. So it's not, the equality here is not about competing for roles or being seen as competing for roles or saying, but it's giving me the same level playing ground. It means I should not, because I'm female, there shouldn't be a bias towards me. And you see that happen especially in the workplace, right? There are times, if you take a poll, you see that a lot of women would have to work 5 times as hard before they could prove themselves in the workplace to their male counterparts. And you see things like pay inequality. We're all on the same level with the same educational experience and the same years of educational qualification and the same years of experience. But when we're negotiating salaries, they'll pay the man higher than they would pay me, and it's not because I don't have anything to offer. So that's what we're advocating for when we're talking about equality. It's not particularly a competition. We're just saying that women also deserve to have access to a quality life, like our male counterparts do.
All right. Every March 8th, every year we celebrate Women's Day, and this kind of conversations are had. People, there will be a lot of, I'm sure around the town today, even in Abuja, there will be a lot of events here and there. Yeah. How much of follow-up is done after the day, so that by 8th of March next year, we can actually say, oh, this is what has been recorded between last year and now, so that, you know, if there are improvements, there could be a gauge, sort of.
Yeah. So one of the things that can be done is to invest in R&D, research and development, and monitoring and evaluation of things like this. So especially for policymakers, when we're putting policies in place, there should be a monitoring. There should be a monitoring aspect of that, of the policy, right? And I think it should go beyond March 8th. We should have reports, maybe quarterly, or, you know, at women forums, in the Senate, at national assemblies, in the workplace. There should be some resources dedicated to research and development and monitoring the impact of some of these things, because whatever it is that you don't monitor, sometimes you're making a lot of impact, but you don't know because you've not put it together, right? But we need to focus on monitoring. We need to put more energy on research and development, right? I know sometime last year there was a research around women participation in politics, but I think it was anchored by Love Think Allied Partners, and, you know, a lot of findings came off of that report. Can we push this report in the media? Can people see the impact of women's participation?
Yes, because if something is done about such reports, maybe we'll get results. Because this year the performance or participation of women is nothing to write home about.
Exactly, really. It's nothing to write home about. And so we need to actually dedicate resources into research and development. We need to dedicate resources into monitoring and evaluating the efforts that are being made towards gender inclusion.
All right.
So it's a very key thing to do.
All right. Thank you so much, Cynthia Mbakogu Uzomba, for joining us. Cynthia is an entrepreneur and people and culture manager at Lofty. She joins us to talk about the International Women's Day. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Well, that's our show for today. In case you've missed, you can always catch up with us across all our social media platforms and also on our YouTube live stream. I am Ayuba Ilya. Join us again tomorrow for another time on the program.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Join us same time, same station tomorrow. And to the women, enjoy your day. My name is Stella Yaji. Do have a pleasant day.